I have 4 kids, and my youngest is 30. Now you know why I'm so happy. So, as your principal said, my name is Greg Allen. I'm a therapist in the community here, and I went to school here. My kids in the community here. I also direct Freedom for You. Anybody ever heard of Freedom for You? I'll see one person. Oh, good. Freedom for You is a youth nonprofit organization. We do programs at 8 schools: creative arts, life skills, leadership, and service. And we also share the teen annex up there by the library. You know, the annex, the little after-school hangout place. Yeah, so we got a lot of keep kids going in healthy directions. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about is your kids are all going in 6th grade, right? Yes. Okay, so I work with a lot of teenagers. How many of you have a teenager already? The high school students? Okay, a few of you, so a lot of younger parents. And how many of you have kids in elementary school? Okay, good. Any grandparents here? Let's hear for the grandparents, all right. Good. So, you know, I want to give you, I might not talk to you again the rest of your life. You'd probably be happy about that, right? That's part of your goal. You don't have to come talk to me. No, I would be nice to you. I'd help you if we talk. But I want to give you some tips and some advice for the teenage years. Okay? Like, there's a student right here filming. Her name's Annalise. She just graduated from high school, and she's going off to college next weekend. And a lot of students have challenging time getting through the teen years. She didn't. But your goal is that would be your kid one day, right? They get through this school, they get through high school, and then they be launched to a nice college, right? That's your goal, right? The college of your choice, as the expression goes. Right, that's your goal. Okay, so to do that, I just want to give you some tips and some advice about what I think would be important for that whole spectrum of time. So not necessarily, you know, what to do this week at school, or what to do this weekend, or the first month at school here, all right, for the teen years. Okay, and a lot of what I want to tell you is like preventative stuff to prevent problems from happening. Because most kids kind of get through the teenagers okay. Knows how I said that. Kind of okay, right? They're going to go outside the boundaries a little bit, and we just don't want them to go too far out, right? And have some behavior or some accident or some risky stuff go on. And teenage, high school kids have risky lifestyles no matter what. You know, even if they're not drinking alcohol or they don't do any drugs or whatever. Just the way they feel, the way they live, the way they skateboard off roofs, the way they want to have adventure, maybe the way they drive. So your goal is to try to get your kids through this time. And one of the advantages you have right now with your son or daughter at this age is your kid really looks up to you right now. They're really open to you right now. They really care what you say. They really want your approval. They really want your acceptance. They really want your affirmation. And they want to do things so that, you know, they're in good standing with you. And they actually care about your opinion. Now, when you get into teenage years, you might think my teenager doesn't care anything about me, and you know, they don't, you know, I don't matter to them so much, but you still will at that time. They just may not show that to you. So you want to take advantage of the relationship you have now, and the ideal relationship you're aiming for in the teen years is that your kid can talk to you if they're going through a rough time. They can actually come to you and talk to you. You know, they'll talk to their friends, ask kids across the country, you know, who could you talk to if you needed to? Teenagers. And they go, well, I could talk to a teacher, I could talk to a counselor, a coach, you know, someone in my religious community. And they go, okay, so you have resources, people you could talk to if you needed to. And who do you talk to? They say, I talk to my friends. So while your kids are this age, and they actually probably tell you about their day, maybe, or they tell you about their week, or they tell you about what's hard at school, or they tell you about this mean kid, or they tell you about this teacher did this to me, you know, or whatever's going on, or in their sports team, you know, or in the neighborhood. They talk to you about their feelings. You want to take advantage of that relationship. And the key thing to having a communicative relationship with your son or daughter into the teen years is listening, not talking. Listening. And sometimes that's the last thing you want to do, right? I used to think, I need to tell my son this again. I don't know if he knows this. Sure, he's 14 years old, and I've said this 5,000 times, but I'm just going to say it one more time. You know? And at a certain point, I changed to my parenting. I realized, you know what? I'm giving myself a headache repeating myself. I'm going to stop. What became more interesting to me is, what is he thinking? I wonder what's going on inside his head. I wonder what's going on inside his heart when he's out there with his friends, or after school, or in a situation. I wonder what he's thinking. I wonder what choices he's going to make. So I changed my parenting to being more asking open-ended questions and not reacting. Okay? Most teens would like to talk to their parents, right? But they can't. Who wants to tell me why? Raise your hand and say, why do you think most teenagers don't talk to their parents? Yes?
Because of the current reaction. They're afraid of how they would react and how they will be judged.
Yes, she says they're afraid of how their parents' reaction, how they might react, how they might be judged. Not because their allowance is behind them. That was a bad joke. That time. That's true. They don't talk to us because we freak out. Our fear that we have about what's happening with them, or what might happen, or who they're with, or what the kids are doing, that fear we have, it drives us. And then we put that out on the kid. And no one wants to talk to someone that's having an anxiety attack. Right? Like, I was thinking of going over to my friend and saying, oh, where, who, what? But never mind. Okay? So you have to somehow not react. And we can overreact as an everyday conversation. But even if they tell you something alarming, like, you know what I heard about so-and-so? He's smoking cigarettes. Or I heard so-and-so did this over there at this place. You know, not even that they did something. We're talking about someone else. You have to not react and go like, what? Okay? Because again, what's more important is what do they think? What are their thoughts about that? What decision are they going to make when they're faced with a choice or an option, or they're asked a question to do this, or go here, or try that, or cheat, or whatever it is? You know, how are they going to handle it? What kind of morals do they have? What kind of character do they have? And how much self-confidence do they have? Because a lot of kids cave in because the other kids are doing it, whatever it is. So they have to have enough self-confidence in themselves and security to not cave in. So you want to be a listener with your son or daughter, okay? And just brainstorm. They go, hey, this kid went over there and I heard he did this thing. They tell you something that's scary and alarming. So you have to do what us trained counselors do. We hear something very alarming. On the inside, we're saying, I can't believe it. Are you kidding me? And on the outside, we just smile and go, uh-huh. And you have to not react. Later, you can go and scream in your pillow. Okay? I can't believe it! Can you believe they said that? Oh my gosh, what is going on? All right? But you can't have these anxiety attacks on your kids. And I know I'm exaggerating and calling it anxiety attack. But in your desire to parent them, or to guide them, or to teach them a value, or to make them, you know, go the way you want them to go, or to make sure we can be overbearing and we can overload our parents, overload our kids. Maybe our parents overloaded us, right? So you want to balance your parenting with discipline, okay? And the general thing up here is a lot of kids don't have a lot of discipline. I mean, high school kids. So you want to have rules. You want to expect things from your kids as they go through the teen years. You don't want your kids thinking that my phone and my computer and my clothes and all the stuff I have is my right. I deserve to have all this stuff. No, it's a privilege. They've earned it by their behavior, by their conduct, by their effort in their teams or in their school. Okay, so you want to expect behavior from your kids to earn privileges. And you want to balance it with love. All right? We don't want to be so wound up with rules that we lose our relationship with our kids, because then they may have lost touch that we love them. Right? When was the last time you told your kid you love them? You don't afraid of them. Okay? We need to tell our kids that we love them. Not in front of their friends. Okay? And they're saying goodbye and say, I love you! I love you! Alright? Let them go. Alright? You tell them to get home. And husbands and wives, fathers and mothers need to, give your kid a hug. And even though if you never got hugs in your life, right? I realized at a certain point my father never gave me a hug. My mother was affectionate and gave me hugs and hey, too much, and slobbering all over me. My grandparents. And then I realized with my dad, of course it took me till I was like 20 years old to realize it. He never gives me a hug. And so I went one day to hug him. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I am. I gave him a hug. Hey, Dad, I gave him a hug, and he didn't know what to do. He just like stood there like this. I was like, oh my goodness. He's never been hugged. But gradually as I said goodbye and I gave him a hug, he started to learn how to hug. Right? My poor mom, huh? So you may have grown up in a family where there's not a lot of physical affection being expressed, okay, but you can still, put your arm around your kid and go, see you later, buddy. Anyway, tell your kids you love them, demonstrate that to them. Not just have everything be about rules and structure. And spend time listening to them so they can talk about it. You need to know your kids' major challenges they're leaving the house and facing each day. Is it a kid? Is it a class? Is it a subject? Is it a coach? Is it how they feel about themselves? What are their vulnerabilities? Because your kids have strengths and they have vulnerabilities. The areas they're strong in, whether it's academically or in a sport or some competence, they're going to be fine in those areas. They're good at those areas. But the areas they're not strong in, you need to know what those are. By observation, by dialoguing with your kid. How's it going in science? How's it going in the team? Or you can see what their vulnerabilities are. And then those areas is where they need to learn some more coping skills or some inner strength to deal with the situation with their friends, or this teacher thing that's going on, or the sport, or whether it's club, or whatever it is. They need to learn, how can I deal with that better? How can I learn to master this area that I'm vulnerable in and I'm not really that good at? Okay, because the areas, again, that they're down in, they're not that good in. That's the areas, if they're going to get tripped up, they might get tripped up in. Okay? So we learn that by saying how to go today, what's happening in your life, and as you go forward. And each one of your kids is unique. How many of you have 2 kids? How many have 3? 4? 5? No? Okay. Oh, 5? Got 6? Keep it. How many? She has 7. Let's hear it for her. Wow. Is she standing up? I'm sorry. I should have said that. 7 kids, that's great. Wow. I think, when I get to 2, that was a lot. When I get to 3, like the water level got here. When I get to 4, I said, I give up. It's like, you gotta take care of each other a little bit. That's great. It's great if you have an age span too. The older ones can help with the younger ones. But each kid is unique. And even though your family has certain values that you want in your family and certain principles that you're going to raise your family on, each kid's unique. And you have to find a way to connect with each kid. Okay, they're not all the same. And you know that, right? Right? Boys, girls, different guys, different daughters. They're very different. So my kids, I'll just share a little about that. My oldest son, he was very unusual. He actually talked. He would talk. I'd go, hey, Eric, how's it going? Good. Fine. How's it going? Great. Right? He would talk. Very communicative, very unusual for a lower species. And he's still that way today as an adult. He talks, everybody goes, oh, Eric's so friendly, he's such a great guy, and he is. He had those skills. And I just get Jason. Jason talked when he was little, and then when he got through puberty, all of a sudden Jason stopped talking. And it was like, Jason, how's it going? Good. How's things going at school? Fine. What's my next question going to be? How's it going in basketball? Good. All right, we're really plowing along here. So he kind of stopped talking. But then we'd see him with his friends, and they're talking and laughing, and we'd go, he can talk! That's good! He can talk. But I go, what's going on here? He doesn't really talk with us. He's, we're a little too much of something. He don't want to talk to us. 13, 14. So I decided to try to enter his world a little bit, even though I thought all these games he was playing were kind of silly and stupid and a waste of time and a waste of money. I decided to enter his world and, have me tell me what's the deal with this, James Bond game thing, racing thing we're doing here. And so we would do that, and I played games with them, and then actually I started enjoying them. And I was wrong. They are interesting. And then as he got older, he started he got a car, and he was into doing stuff with his car, and I'd go out there with him and do that, even though I wasn't interested. But I started doing things that he wanted to do, that he was interested in, and from that form a bond with him. And then when we're out there looking at the car, I go, hey, how's it going in science? He goes, oh, it's good, I have a test tomorrow. I'm like, test tomorrow? Your test? He goes, I gotta go. I said, okay, I'll leave you alone. So, doing a common activity worked. And then my other kid, I'd go, he was about 14, 15, he started getting in his own little world there, and I'd go like, hey, hey, how's things going at school? Nice little question, right? He says, oh, the inquiring father would like to know. That's his quote. So, a little bit of a wall there in communication, right? So I was like, okay, we're making great progress here. So I said, so anyway, one day I noticed he was like talking away about his life and everything. Wow, he's so open, I can't believe it, he's talking. And then a few months later I realized we're out somewhere and he's like, wow, he's just talking away. And I realized we were eating. He doesn't know this to this day. When he eats, he talks. He does. When he eats, I think it's like a truth serum. It's like a hypnotic thing. He starts just talking about everything, his hopes and dreams, what he's worried about, what he's excited about, what he can't wait to do. Really, he talks. He still doesn't know that. So I learned that. Okay, hey, you want to go get something to eat? Sure. He's not going to turn down food, right? So really, and then my other kid, I'd say, hey, how are things going? And they go, fine. How are things at school? All right. Doesn't sound all right. So I'm like, I wonder if I should press in here and try to talk to him. And so I go over to his room and go, did you want to talk about anything? No! Sounds like yes. So I kind of hang in there and go, well, like, what's going on? He starts talking with his teacher, this kid, and this thing. And then he keeps talking. And he keeps talking. And talking, and then I'm like trying to get away, following around the house. And I was like, I can't believe it. This guy's doing. So I wouldn't stop talking then. So the point is, each kid's different, and you've got to find a way to connect with each kid. Each kid's unique. Each kid has unique strengths. And the other thing is, as your kids are growing up, you realize they're becoming someone else, aren't they? And you're really not raising an 11-year-old. Okay, you're raising a 24-year-old. You're raising a 24-year-old. Are you 19?
18.
18, she's leaving home. Her dad's driving her, so it's okay. 24-year-old. You're raising a 24-year-old that one day can function on their own in life. Hopefully they won't be living at home, right? Working at Starbucks after graduating from college. That's okay if they have to. A lot of kids after college have to come back home because it's hard to get a job. But you're raising someone who's 24 years old, they're kind of competent, they're kind of confident, they kind of manage life, they can kind of have a job, they finish college, they're in their first job, maybe they're in their second job, and they can kind of deal with life, and not get fooled by the world, right? Because the world's a tough place, isn't it? So to raise a kid that's going to be able to function on their own one day, they need to have experiences now that they fail. Not fail. Trip. And learn from it. They need to have learning experiences now. So rather than protect your kid from anything they might do wrong or any mistake they might make, consider while they're in the safe bubble of your family that every time they mess up or don't do something right, it's a learning experience. It's a time in your family for them to learn about themselves, to learn about other people, to learn about situations, to learn about how to function on their own as an independent person. Okay? Because we don't want to smother our kids so much and do everything for them and guide them everywhere and everything, that they're not doing anything for themselves. And they're not developing any self-competency and any skills to negotiate situations or to deal with life. Okay? So you're raising someone who's going to be able to think on their own. That's why you have to not react and go, well, how did it go? What, that happened? What do you think about that? Rather than me jump in there and say, I tell you everything I think about it, my 7 paragraphs. What do you think about that? And not like, well, what do you think about that? You know, just like, well, what do you think about that? Like, if you notice how you can talk to your kids' friends, and your kids' friends actually like, talk to you. You go, hi, Mrs. So-and-so, how are you? Good. And you go, hey, how's it going? In soccer, good, we're doing this, and you guys are just sitting there chatting in the kitchen, right? We're in the car, and then that kid tells your kid, oh, your mom's kind of cool. And you're like, who? Well, your dad's kind of neat. My dad. Right? So why is it we can talk to other people's kids really easy? And those kids talk to us. You know, for the most part. Why is it? There's not all these feelings involved, right? Like, why didn't you pick up your socks feelings? Kind of thing, you know? There's not all this tension and this pressure and the expectation and, you know, guilt trip and, you know, why don't you and aren't you going to and don't forget and when did all this stuff. You know, we don't want our kids to see us as just a rule maker. As just we are a policeman, and we are a supervisor, and we are an inspector, right? And we are the auditor, but we also want to be a support and someone that they actually enjoy being with. Like, did you enjoy, anybody here have a good relationship with your grandparents? Right? Grandparents are great, right? For the most part. Right, so the parents are like, don't eat that candy! Grandparents are like, give them as much as you want. Who cares? It's candy. Enjoy life. Right? Grandparents are more relaxed, right? They've been around longer. They're not so uptight. They're not stressed out. And why is it that grandparents and grandkids can have really great relationships? It's because they have a common enemy. Someone in the middle there. That's not my joke. I copied that one. But it's true. Okay, so we need to be a little more like grandparents, a little more easygoing. Don't get so freaked out about everything. Okay? So our kids will want to maybe go have fun with us and do something with us. And you need to do things with your kids that are fun also, and maybe you all do that still. But everything can't be work and responsibility and stress and pressure and all this stuff and achievement. You need to have fun. I know it's an F word, but it's a good word. Fun. Okay? They need to play. You guys just go and do something silly, do nothing. Go for a hike, go play, find some common activities, hobbies. Dads, it's really important that kids do stuff with their dads, especially when they get into teen years. You know, because those dads were like real straight and simple. And the kids need that stability and they need that influence to bounce off. So the relationship with both parents is important, just enjoying yourself together. Okay? So your kid's becoming a 24-year-old. You're raising a 24-year-old. Right? They're becoming this other person. Some parents say after a while, like, I don't even know who this person is in my house anymore. I don't like the way they smell. They'll start to smell, right? Those of you that are teenagers know that. So your kid's developing interests, preferences, attitudes, beliefs. They're trying to find their way in life. You know, they're 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. You know, they're becoming a person. They're becoming an adult. All right? So let them think, talk, explain, and you need to shift your parenting through the teen years from being, you're always going to be on top. You may not feel like you are. You feel like your kid runs your life already, probably. But you're always going to be the boss because you pay for everything. All right? Even though you don't feel like it, they may not treat you that way. But you need to shift our parenting from being like on top to having it be a little more parallel. It doesn't mean we're on the same level, but it's more like my kids growing up 11 through all these teen years, and I'm like tracking through life with them, going like, you know, what does he like? What does she not like? What are they good at? What are they not good at? What's their vulnerability here? Wow, this thing here happened there. Oh, I see how they deal with this here. Well, I can see they get tripped up here a lot. This way, this situation, this kind of personality, or this kind of challenge. You know, they have a hard time in this area. You know, so you're observing this adult that's growing up in your life. You're observing, because they don't even know who they are. Every day they feel different. Every day they biologically change, right? So they're turning into something else. They're turning into this other species, and, you know, an adult. And so your role is really more to track with them and try to see what's happening here in your house. what is this tree you're growing in your yard? Some parents bring their 16 or 17-year-old to me, and because they're having conflict at home, and they're having problems, and they come in, and they're all, the parents, basically they're kind of saying like, you know, I don't like who my kid is. I love my kid, but I don't like my kid, and I don't like what's going on, you know, and they basically want this kid to be different than he is. And I think to myself, all of a sudden I see this picture in my head of this big giant fruit tree in the backyard that's taken 17 years to grow, and they go to me and they go, I want you to look at the tree. See that tree? I don't like that tree. I don't want that apple tree to be an apple tree. So, you know, they grew that tree. They grew that tree in their family. Okay, our kids are growing, developing, evolving, blossoming, branching out, and hopefully there'll be some good fruit growing off them and in their life. Okay, so you're growing this thing. That was a little analogy there, a tree thing, hope I didn't lose you there. Okay, you're growing this adult. Okay, so like observe it, see what's happening, see what kind of stuff's coming out of them, and really, my dad did a good thing with us, even though he didn't hug me a lot. He exposed us to lots of different things. Well, try this. Okay, you don't like it, fine. Try this. Take lessons in this. Go do this. Try everything. And he was trying to see what would take with us, what we got excited about, you know. And we work with teenagers a lot. Freedom for You, we try to help them find their passion. Their passion. Not like, here, I'm going to make you into a photographer, you know. But what do they like? What strikes their interest in life? And because whatever you're naturally good at, and everybody has some things they're born with, some gifts and talent that they're good at. When you find something you're good at, you do it, you're going to do it okay. You know, if you're a good athlete, you'll be a good athlete. If you're good at science, you'll be good at science. And when you do something, you do it well, you get confidence because you're competent, right? So we want to find things that help build our kids' inner strength up and inner confidence up. And that's going to be kind of their foundation for going forward. Okay? Just a few more points here. The other thing is that as your kids get into the teen years, a lot of parents stop supervising their kids because the kids are getting good grades. Because that's all that matters, right? That's a joke, right? So the kids are, you know, they're doing good, and even when they're 14, and they're 15, and they're 16, and your kids are going to separate from you, and that's normal, and that's healthy, you know, for them to find some individuation in their own way. Okay, but you still need to know where they're going, kind of who they're with, and what they're up to. Okay? Because the kids, we'll talk about the kids that get in trouble here. None of your kids. Okay? The 10 to 20% that are, or 30% that are doing something they shouldn't be doing. Okay? Most of them are doing that because they can. Not because they're so oppositional, or they have so much anger, or they're so, you know, curious, which they are. They're doing it because they can. There's cracks in the supervision. They've told them, I'm over here, but they're really over there. And I'm going to be with so-and-so, but they're really somewhere else. Okay? And the parents are clueless to what's going on until a problem happens. Someone gets caught, or someone does something, they get in trouble, and they realize, oh, this has been going on for 6 months? For a year? You've been doing this? Are you kidding? So you need to stay involved supervising your kids. They may not like it. Okay? A lot of parents don't want to be a parent when the kid gets bigger, stronger, and starts dumping the anger on you, you know, and challenging you. And a lot of kids, especially boys, teen boys, will use anger to get you to back off, get you to give up your opinion, or your curfew, or your rule, because it's such a hassle to sit there and go around and around and around about this and that. So you have to stay calm and model self-control. If you want your kid to model self-control in a conversation and a heated topic, while you're trying to enforce or insist on a certain rule that's a zero tolerance for you, like if you don't want your kid drinking alcohol in high school, right? Or if you don't want your kid, you know, smoking marijuana, or you don't want your kid, you know, whatever, driving recklessly, or doing things. You have to stick with your rules, and it doesn't mean you're going to be popular maybe, but enforcing certain character traits is the most important thing. And we get out of balance focused on achievement, getting good grades, right? And we kind of neglect sometimes the character. What kind of person am I raising? Okay, so don't forget the person part. I know at this age, you're all focused with your kids about being good citizens, and they probably all are, but you can't forget that as they get older, okay? And then the last thing is this. I could have talked the whole time on this, and they'll have assemblies on technology. But if you want to supervise your kid or know what they're up to, you're going to have to be involved in their technology. Whether they have a phone, they don't have a phone, whether they have an online profile, what sites they're on, what social media sites they're on. It's endless. And you're never going to find all of them. You know? But you need to be involved, and you need to, at this age, particularly, have the password. And if they're online, and as they get older, you need to know what's going on, because we have different identities online, and you'll see more what your kid's about, the way they talk to other people, or how they talk to their friends. And some of it's fake, they're just trying to act a certain way. But you're really not going to get a sense, maybe by dialoguing nowadays with your kid about what's up, how's it going, unless you are involved in some of their online stuff. And so you need to supervise this too. Okay, just like years ago, they're like, how much video games should I let my kid play? The kids still play video games, but how many hours should my kid be online? How many hours should I let them be on YouTube or do whatever? You need to have limits for that. It's not just unlimited because it's so fascinating, you let them do whatever they want. You need to have limits, and you need to have structure around that too. Time limits, and supervise that part of it too. Okay, and the last point is that you are a role model, and we want our kids to feel like, I want to be like mommy and daddy one day. All right, not like, I don't want to be like my dad, he's all stressed out, or my mom, she's all freaked out. Okay, so you're a role model. You're a role model for communication. You're a role model for your personal lifestyle, that you actually enjoy your life, you relax, you have fun, you have healthy ways to de-stress, and that our kids can kind of emulate us that way. So it's not all about just molding and shaping our kids, taking care of our own personal life too, and our own personal needs and our relationships, okay? All right, you've been a great audience. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. I'm fortunate to have